We are living in the fifth dimensional consciousness where we are creating our reality faster than we can imagine. And 95% of our lives are run and created by our subconscious programming. Imagine how your life will be when that 95% subconscious programming is set to attract, manifest, and create everything you desire. Would you like help to change yours? Join Tamra Oviatt in Living in Fifth Dimensional Consciousness here on OMTImes every week, where she will connect to the source energy and change your subconscious programming by deleting your negative belief systems. Tamra is the founder of Sacred Activations, a subconscious meta-programming process that rewires your brain and shifts hundreds of your belief systems so you can break away from lack, pain, and suffering and take control of what you want to create in your life. Tamra has helped hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, and she is here to help you too. It's not about fighting what you don't want. It's about creating what you do want. And the only way to do that is to change and upgrade your subconscious programming. Let Tamra help you create magic in your world. Join her now for Living in the Fifth Dimensional Consciousness.
Hi, welcome everybody. I want to introduce my guest, Darius. Darius is absolutely amazing. He's the founder and CEO of Wealth Revolution. And this is a turn of events because I get to interview him today instead of him interviewing me. He had a near-death experience from a motorcycle crash in 2008 and woke up to be able to see, what was it, geometric patterns and different things in people's energy field. In Wealth, he's very, very successful helping people all over the world. Millions and millions of people go to his show every week, and he helps people and children. They donate for food for children all the time, and he's all about helping you wake up. And he has these guests on; they're absolutely incredible to help you and assist you to awaken to who you truly are. So, welcome, Darius. I'm so glad you're here with me today. Thank you for joining me.
Well, Tamra, it's an absolute honor to be on the other side. We've done this for so many years, from back to the beginning of my show. And so for us to kind of turn the tables and for me to sit back and just kind of share is really an honor for me. And I thank you for everything you're doing.
Yeah, I've been interviewed a lot, and you've always been one of my favorite people to get interviewed by. So anytime I hear from you, it's like, absolutely, Darius, definitely love to do your show. So thank you for joining me on the other side here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So really what this is all about and what we're going to be talking about today is to help you wake up to who you truly are. And Darius is going to be sharing some of his stories on how he's flourished really in this business. And I mean, the work you do is so important because you're bringing all these different light workers together so that people can find what resonates with them and who helps them. So what gave you the idea to get started in this business like this?
Well, I guess it goes all the way back to my as a child on Earth and not really so much being interested in all the things that a lot of the interested in. I remember trying to play soccer and kind of being the bugs and the flowers than really trying to win some game that to me seemed like, a point in time to be gone. Right. It was always more about like, why am I here? Who am I? What am I doing here? And why is my life showing up this way? So that was kind of where I interest at some level. It was just kind of tucked away in the subconscious, waiting for something to blossom, a flower. And I went through all of this education and all of these things. And at some point, after getting a law degree and becoming a lawyer, getting a master's in business finance and doing doing all of these things in the corporate world that, I was supposed to do, I had emotional traumas. So I went to become a metaphysical hypnotist and also a therapeutic hypnotist. And in the course of doing some work, I had some past lives to try to see like where was the root of that energy that wasn't feeling content, wasn't feeling happiness, no matter what I did, no matter what level of attainment degree I had or job level. There was something deep down that just was not settling, was not aligned. And so I dipped into other lifetimes, other existences on the planet. In fact, that was part of the therapeutic work, was to go into these past lives and to claim and heal that victim energy, that wounding, that unresolved tension. I had interesting experiences, but even with that, what happened was when I came back from those sessions, I still had a lot of the same challenges. We can do work, but sometimes we have to do our work, right? The work can lead you need to do. And strangely, I was out riding motorcycles and it was like 5 o'clock on a Friday. It was July 29th, 2000. And I'm going about 50 miles an hour in an open field. Strange reason. I don't know why I would have, because you don't know what's under the high grass. And all of a sudden, smack, wheel. I go over the handlebars, 50 miles an hour. At some point, brakes, and I have a rod here. And I go over the handlebars. I black out. Bike lands on me. And I go right back to that space, that place that I had gone in those sessions, which to me, camera, this space between lives, this space where I was unbounded by the physicality, unbounded by the personality complex, by gender, by race, by any aspect of our human self. I went right back to this place. And this, to me, the way people have explained this, is like our origination point, is our connection to the monad or to the original consciousness that we have. And then from there, like, we fragment down into these soul groups and different, areas where we need to work with different groups and learn things. So I went back to this place, and that was just like infinite consciousness. I remember being there. I had no name. I had no gender. I was formless, but I was everywhere. I had nothing, but I was pure bliss. I was absolute blissed out, happy. I could feel just creation going through me. And I started to see that creation energy, abundant energy, was joy, was frequency, moving at a high rate, and was always expanding, and was the expansive energy. So I felt all that. I woke from that, or came back to, the bike was on top of me. The throttle was like stuck in this, it was like going really fast, and it was grinding against my pants that I was wearing. I couldn't feel my legs. And all of a sudden, like, when I came to and I started seeing things, I saw this sunlight coming through the trees, and I saw this sacred geometric symbol just kind of floating around, and I saw what looked like sacred geometry, because I had done classes on this. So I knew that, okay, that looks like some sort of symbol. And all of a sudden, I just felt like life force come to me, could feel my legs, and somehow managed to get the bike up, and that was it. Went to the hospital, fixed the life, fell apart. Everything that held it together just went away, right?
Yeah.
Great question. So I was married at the time, and I was practicing law. I was living in Houston, and I had this idea. I could go to a party and say, what do you do? I'm a lawyer. Oh, great. That means, right? But people could put me in a box. And about 2 months later, my wife at the time, just shows up and says, that's it. I'm filing for divorce. It's over. It's done. You can do. I've already got the lawyer, got everything done. Get your shit out. It's like, or get your stuff out. And I'm like, whoa. And that was it. So I just was sort of like pushed into a whole another chapter. And what I think it was, because I had awarenesses too, that I realized, like, subconsciously I hold all this stuff together that wasn't really me. I wasn't happy. I mean, I guess the story was I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with I remember, I mean, even like the day before we got married, I remember like trying to make some sort of like list of like, okay, I'm happy about this because like I'm going through this rational mind process of a lawyer trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to convince myself, I'm going to make all these arguments that are going to tell me this is the right thing to do. So my heart was disconnected from my life, and it was sort of that awakening that now just dispersed that energy, and it's like I couldn't hold it together, and it just went away.
Yay. I mean, congratulations that it all fell apart. Yeah, that's reminding me.
Well, it's amazing you say that, because that shows you're a wise teacher, because it was a lady, I think her name was Catherine Ponder. She was a sort of facilitator for a modality, I think Psych. I remember writing her, and I was like, oh my God, everything's falling apart, my marriage. She didn't write me back for like a debt, and I was like, what world? And then she said, congratulations for the new space you're in. And, at first I was like, that's an awful thing to say. But then I kind of stopped, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, she's right. And I realized through help of some of my that I could then create anything. And I was like, wait a minute, great thing for everybody, like if we stopped looking at everything we're trying to hold together and all the plans that we're trying to make to hold something together for us, say, instead of that, what if we just create something new? What do we want to create? And that was what I did. I was like, a whole new life. I want to move to another city. I want to start again. I want to find in this way to me. I want to explore these areas. I've had this amazing experience. I don't know what this is. I want to spend my life trying to figure out what was going on here. And I want to do something that matters. And that's really how I got to start Wealth Revolution, was that door being open.
Wow. I mean, that's truly amazing. And you're one of the first ones that started the telesummits, aren't you?
I think there was a few people. I mean, I've got to give like Jennifer McLean. She was doing it for a while. There was another great guy, Lance Hood, that was doing some different like that. But I was kind of early on, and what we did was I enjoyed it so much, and I really enjoyed having that out, that we just said, instead of doing it for a month, let's just do it, let's just keep going. Let's make this something that we do 8 months out of the year, so it really could be available for people. But I mean, there were great people doing it, but we just went full force, and that was the end. That's the rest is history.
I tried starting something like this in 2003. And I had the phone number. You were 1-800 you are healed now, and I had all these people lined up, and I couldn't get it together to do it. But I had psychologists, I had hypnotherapists, and we were going to do different events, every week, offer something. But I couldn't get past myself to get it going. You know what I mean? I had the thought, I had the idea, because I've always been about wanting to help people and be of service. And so it's really exciting to see that you did that. You're successful at it, and you help so many people get help. You're helping them find people to help them, and you're helping the people, the healers, get out there to be able to help people. So what you're doing is just in service in all ways, and it's such a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Well, I got to be honest too, the first one that I did, since people may be wondering about specifics and things, I had a partner at the time, Jennifer Blacker, and we did a show called The New Wealth Experience, I think it was. She helped me get it going. I mean, together we partnered, and it was like, here's your strengths, here's your strengths, Jen, here's mine, let's go out together. And I really feel like that was extremely helpful for me, because I had the know-how on how to put together events and publish, but she had connection, she had an energy, and we fed each other. It's very positive energy. So, there's a time when, maybe you want to do things on your own, but maybe also if you can find somebody that's not just like pooling your energy, but is contributing energy to something you're trying to create, it can be a really wonderful way to keep pushing each other higher and do really well. But then after that first event, we kind of had different ideas, and then there was a point where okay, we're going to go do our own things. But that can be very valuable if you find the right people to support.
Yeah. So you guys supported each other and getting going, and then it was time to move off, and you both continued, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's there to stay for a lifetime. They're there to support for a while. So
exactly. And if I could tell people, if I could say real quick, the whole point of that being is into those higher places, and I felt that creation was joy. When I look at things now, I really look at what brings me joy. And I know that sounds cliche, but when I was around for that first event, when we would gather and we would think about ideas and we would talk about it, I felt very joyful. I felt really expanded. I felt really excited. I felt empowered. There was something that we were building that was bigger than just the day. It became a mission. And so, if you're saying, well, what if I work with this person or that person, and you're around them this contraction and this heaviness, controlling, or they're trying to push you into doing something or being something you're not, that's not aligned really to the creation template, to what my friend Shamice Daniel calls the living web of life that we all can connect to. That really this earth, if you look at how things actually grow, and maybe I'll have heard this, flowers don't struggle to grow. I mean, they grow. You give a flower that's almost dying, you give it a little bit of water, and it will just the next day usually. They can take that life energy and just create a miracle in a very good time. We're the same way. It's just in our world, there's so much of this essence that's imbalanced all the time, and imbalanced people not aligned to their heart, that we don't really know what it's like to actually ingest or consume divine truth, divine love, divine balance between man and feminine. All of these divine essences will act circles. And when you find a divine person, a divine cause, and they're balanced in themselves, it's amazing things can happen. So I say get really clear on expanded, or does it make you feel very contracted? To really filter your reality like that, you start to actually move you forward to what you're really here to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you're saying about, what brings you joy, because that's truly all we need to focus on is what brings us joy. Because when you focus on what brings you joy, then the universe is going to say, okay, this brings them joy. Let's bring them this, let's bring them that. So then you get the health, you get the wealth, you get the love. I mean, it just opens everything up for you.
Yeah. I mean, the challenge is, right, we have some traps along the way. I don't like doing taxes. I can't, but that doesn't mean that I just avoid doing taxes for 5 years, because then I know at the light at the end of massive pains, unfortunately, I may get in trouble with some governmental agency. And that brings me joy for a short period of time, but then there's also that relationship to sort of pain later on where I don't feel good or my stomach feels upset. So it's a little bit of a balance. And I think that the key at first is to your life, when you're trying to get through these challenges, to fill your life with enough spaces of joy that you can, that the things you do that maybe aren't part of your joy set, you can do, or, during the day, but you still have a huge amount of joy. Like, for example, like I know when I was going through the marriage ending, right? I knew I had to deal with lawyers and all these things that were not a space of joy for me. But I knew that I was going to take 2-3 hours a day to be outside, to spend time in nature, to be journaling my plans. Like, I remember sitting in a model home in Austin, Texas, because that's where I wanted to live. And I would sit in the model home for like 4 hours. And luckily the subdivision was pretty much built, so nobody was in there. And I would just sit there and I would write out plan in this beautiful model home in Austin. And I was like, it was in Dripping Springs, just outside of Austin, but I was everything out, imagining my new girlfriend, imagining my wife, imagining like everything together. And then I'm like, okay, now I got to go back to Houston and deal with this place. But then once I was done with that, I'm like, okay, I've depleted. I'm going back to that future reality. I'm going back to that 5D reality, and I'd be back on the trails, and back to the model home. I'd be back creating my life, talking to Jen about what we're going to do and what guests we're going to get. It was like this balance point, but you've got to know when you're getting really depleted. And I think what happens is we get so used to not being able to feel joy that we kind of think life is supposed to be this way. Our parents had it this way. Just you're tired, you're miserable. And I really think, like, if we can realign ourselves to what we really are and then choose that as much as we can, like, we can start to echelon up and then create a life that is very much aligned to joy.
I love how you talked about sitting in the model home and writing out your plans. Now, did you end up in that model home, or did you buy something else?
I did a lot better than that model home. I ended up right by the lake with a view of a preserve and in a better neighborhood that I really liked, that had, schools and things. And what's funny is, I mean, I have it in the closet. I had a vision board wrote out where I did all these different girls, women. Hey, this is soulmate person. This is what I want it to be like. These are the things we're doing. She's gonna have this. She's gonna have that. She's gonna look like this. And literally, my wife Sherry is like opposite of all the people on that vision board, but such an amazing heart and soul. I mean, she's absolutely my soulmate. But everything I was putting together from that time, it all came true, right? And so no, I didn't move there, but I had that and something better, and it all worked out.
Yeah, and then it came out better. Isn't that nice? In 2019, in October 2019, I went to Florida. I had to go help my oldest son, and I was done being single because I was single for 24 years. So I wrote out my list of everything I wanted in my guy, and I'm like, God, you bring me my man now. I'm done waiting. I'm done being single. You want me to do this work? I need someone near me, or next to me. So I wrote it all out, and then I heard this name, Michael Hennessy, which is this guy I dated 24 years ago, and I just laughed when I would hear his name. And then I heard it again. And then I heard, go look on your LinkedIn. This was like within a month, and I looked at my LinkedIn, and there he was on my LinkedIn, that he had just looked at me. And about 6 months ago, I pulled out this list, and I saw it because in my notebook, I always have all these notebooks that I write things in. And I read through it, and my guy, and I read it to him, and he was like 95% of the things I had on that list, and he's all, when did you write that? I'm all, October 2019. We started talking in January 2020, and we just got married. So it's fantastic how that works. Wow, isn't it?
Amazing. Amazing. I mean, you hear these stories and
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you hear these stories and you think this can't be true. You can't. These things can't happen. They really can, and I think you talked about it a little bit in the introduction. Was like when we get clear of the substance and we really decide and we really get clear on what we want, and sometimes that has to be something that comes from within us. We almost have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this change. Or you have, like I did, a crossroads, massively disruptive happens. There's a signal to your unconscious mind. I can't go back to the way things were, and everything is going to be different. And I think when that happens, like really some miraculous things can happen. But and this is one of the things I think about, really turning off and getting tuned into that higher vibration, because like when we really align to what we're really here to do, and we drown out the noise, we drown out the victimhood energies, we drown out all the people trying to blame, oh, well, your problem is because these people did this, or those people did this to you, or this is going on. And we stop looking for that sort of scapegoat energy, but we go inside and we're like, okay, what's going on? What do I need to forgive? What do I need to heal? What do I need to realign? How do I then let all of that lower stuff not block me from my highest truth? Then we can really start creating some amazing things, because we know, almost every ancient culture knew and was very clear that we are connected to a force, divine intelligence and creation that is infinite. We are connected to the earth. Earth is a creation field. Gaia Earth is a creation vortex. It is on earth, despite what anyone is trying to say that it is, and there's shortages and all this stuff. If we actually look at the real essence of Gaia Earth, it is heaven on earth. It is paradise. Some shifts of the age from Piscean age to the Aquarian age, and so they're trying to their system versus a 5D system. But once that gets cleared and that starts falling away, which it already is, we're going to see heaven, because that's really what we come from. Like, we come from that. We are made of stardust. We're made of star particles, divine Gaia particles. So we can create once we align.
Absolutely. I'm living my heaven on earth, and so are you. I know you're living your heaven on earth. I'd say probably, I know about 95% of my life, I'm living my heaven on earth. I live in an amazing place. I'm in peace and love and joy and happiness almost all the time. And I stay out of all the stuff that doesn't align with that. And I know you do that too. And if everybody would start doing that and living their heaven on earth, it's creating it throughout the whole world. It's already here. We just have to realize it, and everything else falls apart except that brings us joy and brings us that energy of heaven on earth, right?
I totally agree. I agree. And I think people are pulling their power away from a lot of these systems and structures, and it's happening organically. I think we're being, as I said, we're moving from this Piscean age. And if you think of like the Piscean symbol, the fish do. They go into school and they follow each other around, and all go. Now they kind of know where to go from that structure. So they have a lot of their guidance from the structure when we're the school of fish. But these structures that used to give us, that used to be in alignment to maybe things that we wanted or were what we wanted to see happen, those structures really don't fit anymore. And so people are now getting their information. This is the Aquarian energy, the water bearer, with the barrel of wads of water flowing it over the shoulder, is that this information, this lifeblood, this energetic is all flowing. Water finds its way everywhere. If you have a leak in your house, that water is going to put caulking somewhere. It's going to find its way to wherever it's going to go. It's going to go to whatever that next lower level is. So this is the same way with truth in our world. So we're starting to see like all these structures have a really hard time to truth. And then when they try to, and they're like, oh, we're going to send somebody, then he's like, well, I'm just going to go buy this other thing. We're going to create our separate structure, right? Is it that 5D? I don't know. Time will tell. But the first part of that is being constrained by one structure and having multiple options. Because if we think about consciousness is infinite. So infinite voices, infinite opportunities, choices, desires, needs is all part of infinite consciousness. Being able to speak freely about things is infinite consciousness. More and more into that. And those that want to sort of contain it are having fits, because against the natural energetic dynamic of Gaia Earth. And I mean, and I think that's one of the reasons they're trying to invert Gaia Earth and sort of like change certain things about the structure, basically put in their own structure and say, oh, well, I've taken the fingerprint of God out of this and I put my fingerprint on. Now we can control it and stop the evolution. I don't think that's going to work, but of course, it's just my opinion.
It's not going to work. It doesn't.
I think
it's not going to work.
A lot of people. Yeah.
It's just helping people wake up even that much more. It's really being in service, even though it doesn't realize it's being in service. This is really fascinating. I want to keep talking to you. We have to go to a break, so you guys will be right back, and we're going to continue this conversation. Thank you.
OMTImes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTImes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTImes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTImes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTImes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTImes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTImes. Open yourself to the possibilities. Do you want to go deeper into sacred activations, which is a subconscious meta-programming process? Tamra Oviatt is inviting you to visit her website at tamraoviatt.com to sign up and get lifetime access to free 7 activations that you can listen to anytime you want or as often as you need. If you like what Tamra does and like to incorporate sacred activations into your life, she also offers live webinars, masterclasses, and practitioners training to further support your healing, manifestations, and expansion. There are hundreds of activations on her website that address different aspects of your life: money, health, relationships, intuitive abilities, and more. Head over to her website at tamraoviatt.com and experience the magic of sacred activations. Thank you for listening.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. So glad you came back to join us. We're doing this fantastic conversation really about what's going on right now in Gaia. So I'd really like to continue that conversation with you, Darius.
Absolutely. Could you repeat just a little bit of that? I think we had a little
absolutely
connection.
Yeah. Okay. We're having a low bandwidth right now.
I hear
we're talking about Gaia and the changes and the awakening that's going on the planet right now. And we're really right in the middle of something really fascinating. I want to be able to continue that.
Hopefully this is going to come in okay. I'm not sure what the bandwidth issues are. But we really, and I got into an interesting area just sort of through my own awakening experience. I don't know if Tamra can hear me.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I got into this very interesting awareness of something called spiral dynamics. I was involved with a think tank, and there was that had been one of the original founders, person that are spiral dynamics. And spiral dynamics is consciousness, and the way that spiral dynamics thinks of consciousness, at least from my viewpoint, is they're different, kind of like Hawking's, power versus force, but a little bit more in terms of how you view the world and how you see reality and your reference point of reality. So there's this green energy, which is kind of like, if you think of like someone that says all there is, so I'm in absolutely every single thing out there, even if maybe there's somebody that wants to hurt my kid, I'm going to just love the person that wants to hurt my kid, and hopefully they won't hurt my kid, right? And that may work at 5D, but while we're still in 3D, you've got to be careful with those things. But there's another level of that's yellow, and yellow consciousness is about with love. It's about discernment with love, and it's able to actually utilize sort of this and love at the lower levels. And I think that's really what we're moving to, is being able to take all of these and awareness for everything, and also have wisdom around it. The reason this discussion with somebody, and you love yourself and love other people, and they were like, oh, well, yeah, you can, but give up the thing for everyone else, and give that up for everyone else, then will they have, and that if I'm not showing myself love, how come? And then they won't be able to show themselves love. And we started to really think about humanity. Humanity, the way systems work is they tend to want to put you into these boxes where it's like you can either love everybody, you can love yourself, but you can't have both. And I started to see through my experiences going back to that higher plane, this idea of sovereignty, self-love and sovereignty, but also collective love. And that these things are not mutually exclusive, that they can both actually exist at the same time. And that these regional structures, like if we look at like the Arcturian, Palladians, or some of the other potential star families in this, and they have this embodiment of the individual to love themselves, to be true to themselves, to be aligned to themselves, but also love the collective, love the group, to love everyone else. Because if we can't love ourselves, then we can't truly love anyone else. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody that doesn't love themselves? They're terrible, because they're going to lash out everything out at you. So we're in an interesting time, and I think it's that graduation to that next level really allows us to have some huge shifts on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and these shifts are coming, they're coming now. I mean, if we look back 10 years versus now, the whole planet has changed so much in the awakening and the consciousness of love and of joy. I mean, there's huge shifts going on. And so can you imagine where we're going to be 10 years from now? And if we look at history, how things quicken, from 10 years from now, I mean, I would say we've expanded maybe 10 times of what we did over the last 10 years. So I totally believe that we could be in that world peace, that heaven on earth easily within 10 years. And that we are all working together to support the world and proper trade and assistance everywhere.
Absolutely, it's happening, and I think we are seeing the energetic of humanity raising and getting higher, certain things that don't hold together very long. It's kind of like if you're trying to put together a piece of clay, but every time you try to stick it together, there's vibration that makes it come apart. Anything that is, trying to hold together something that's false or something that's not in alignment to this divine truth, it starts to fall away. And as you said, you see this, it starts happening faster and faster and faster. And it's like it used to be that for 20 years, I believe as a planetary collective, that might be a false belief, and then it takes a long time to unwind that. Now, like in a matter of a day, there'll be something that someone says or something that is, told, and then all of a sudden this unwinds like in a day. And people are like, well, how did that happen? Speaking multiple points of consciousness through shows like this, through so independent voices coming out and giving that our consciousness isn't being contained anymore. And when it's not contained, it's open, it's flowing, it's aligning to new awarenesses. And there's also part of that wisdom coming in, that higher, consciousness coming in beyond just wanting to do good. It's like now there's a wisdom ability to access all different structures and understanding how these structures work together. If you look at like a fractal, we see that one little bit of the fractal can actually an enormous universe of fractals from that one imprint. And that one imprint is so perfect and so precise that it can repeat that pattern over and over in a fractal without any errors, right? We live in a fractal universe. So like once we're able to access that original point of creation, bring it into all the other layers of society, it's like we will expand infinite fold. And free energy, fuels that ways that we can utilize energy that don't pollute the environment. All of that stuff's already here. All of that's already been created. I mean, you look at hydrogen cars, there's hydrogen gas. I mean, like literally you take water, you separate the hydrogen gas from water, and one part becomes oxygen, the other part hydrogen. This gas is actually combustible that has no pollution whatsoever. There's a guy, Bob Lazar, he made a car that basically ran on this stuff, and it basically burned oxygen, fuel, and nothing, odorless, pollutionless, everything. So it's all here. It's just once it starts moving through the structures, which it already is, it's going to be like an acceleration, a quickening.
Yeah. Yeah, there won't be any stopping it. It can't be stopped. The consciousness can't be stopped. Just like you said with water, when there's a water leak, it's going to go everywhere and it's going to find everywhere in. And that's with all this knowledge that's coming in right now of the cars with no pollution, of free energy, because there is free energy. There's no reason for us to be, well, I don't want to go into all of that right now, but it's all coming together, and it really truly is. And there's no stopping it. We're here. And like through this show and your show and all these other shows coming together, all the light workers and people are supporting each other to come out. And with all of us talking together, we affect the whole world, and we're affecting the whole consciousness. And there's no stopping that. No matter what's tried to be done, you can't stop the consciousness from expanding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it and I think attempts to stop it are actually like a mirror, because when you attempt to stop, trail it, or control it, it becomes showing the false light. And then people, oh, well, that's really, not expanding consciousness. That's not really something we want. And so I think this is going to intensify, for people moving forward, and they say, well, what do I do? I would say, just like what you said and what you've said in the opening, we've got to get to those. We got to get to those unconscious beliefs, because where we get connected or corded into victim energy and the oppressor energy, control energy runs the old 3D world. There are great opportunities. There are amazing things you can do, but a lot of these systems on people not being fully empowered. I mean, look at like a sweatshop in India or something like that, right? Disempowered people not being able to really provide for their family, locked into sort of like an indentured servitude, capitalist model. I mean, that's not a system. So a lot of these olds rely on that type of energy. So once we get uncorded from victimhood and we do things like sacred activations, own inner work, or we just ask, you know, what am I feel? What do I need to do right now to feel joy, to feel good, to feel God, to feel alive, to raise my life force like we to do? And you say, well, I've got to go pay my taxes. Fine, go pay your taxes. When you take 30 minutes and go for a walk. Yeah. Go hug your kids. Go give a compliment to your neighbor. Read a book that inspires you. Go walk on the beach. Go move your body. Go sit in the park. Go feed birds. Feed fish, pet fish that we picked up. I don't know, we got it. But I love feeding these little fish because every time I go see them, like I'm their world, and they're just so I'm feeding them, and I'm thinking this one little action that I'm taking to pick up this one little piece of food is like their life depends on it. And I'm like, wow, it's amazing I can effectuate that much change just by dropping a little piece of water. And you start to just see everything a gift when you're out of that and I got to do this and that. You got to find, if you can, find the breaks in reality where the comes in, where God comes in, where spirit, and then you're going to see it all over the place. And just like those things that are kind of feel very oppressive are actually part of it, showing we also wake up.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Very nice. Darius, thank you so much for being here today with me and sharing with me. I was so excited to have you on today. And the information you're bringing through, it's so true, everybody. It's just really about being in joy and creating what you desire just by doing that. So, thank you
for what you're doing with sacred activations. Yeah, and I thank you for what you're doing with sacred activations, because that helps people as well to release the subconscious patterns. You don't have to go through a near-death accident going over heel motorcycle, which killed me. You don't need to have the type of traumatic experiences. And I'll tell people, I don't want anyone to think, I need to have something like that to awaken. That was another time, even though it was 12 years ago. Things are getting so quick now that people are having instantaneous awarenesses without all the trauma. Like there's energy technologies now that we can really and have these awakenings. You could just be like walking in the kitchen and all of a sudden seeing through things. You start seeing the energy behind things. You could be looking at a house or trees, and all of a sudden you see the chakra of the tree. You might be walking out and you see the tree talk to you, or your hand on the tree and it starts giving you. We had all of these things. We had all of this stuff. And one of the things that when the Europeans, and I'm not gonna get into nations and all this, but just when certain groups moved into other indigenous societies and they started going into those areas, sadly, the first people that they would talk to would be all of the shaman with them of the divine earth. And they would learn everything, they would catalog it, they would run, and those were terminated. They would take all of the wisdom of what we were, and they would extract, and then those people were terminated. And then the rest of the tribes, as the generations went on, they would have this watered down concept of what they were and what their true connection was to all life itself. And that was history, and that's what it is. but we don't have to live in them. We have the wisdom of the shaman all available through shows like this and through people like you to actually now reclaim them and in this new golden age. And it's coming. This new season is coming, and it's coming in fast.
Yeah. It is coming in fast. And, you know, everybody can talk to trees or flowers or rocks. It's just listen, because they are talking to you and they are sharing their wisdom with you. And you can have conversations with them. You just got to, like you said, you just got to listen. Just listen, because they are sharing with you, and they're all alive. Everything's alive. Like you're talking about with the flower, when you water the flower the next day, you know, it's bright again. You know, we have these plants. I wasn't sure if we're going to have to take them out or not. And we just started watering them, and they've grown back, and they're just absolutely beautiful. So it's just that service and of that joy of being in joy and happiness and bringing that energy in is just perfect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Darius, I'm going to let you go again. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to connecting with you again very soon. Thank you. Oh, Darius, website link is below for Darius. Definitely sign up for You Wealth Revolution. He has a lot of absolutely amazing guests on there that can help service you and help you create a better life for yourself. His guests are some of the best in the industry. So definitely make sure you sign up. The link is below, and I know he gives free gifts when you sign up. So definitely do that. And I'll be on again soon. So
yeah, you got some cool stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Tamra. Thank you, everybody, for making this possible.
Thank you. Okay, you guys, I want to do a couple activations for you really quick. And one of them was, we only have a few minutes, so I'm going to make this really quick. Labels and boxes. We were talking about labels and boxes and how we label ourselves and box ourselves into these different belief systems. As a matter of fact, it was funny. I was out on Sunday night listening to some really good blues music. And I talk to you guys, I'm all about world peace, right? Well, I just realized I labeled and boxed myself into that too. And it was like, wow, you know, so that was quite awakening for me on Sunday. So I'm going to run labels and boxes, and I will do one other activation. So just connect within. And any way you label yourself or box yourself in different belief systems, just focus on that. I know I've ran this one before, but if this is your first show, definitely listen to this. Is healthy boundaries. So just by listening to these activations and receiving this energy now, this is going to keep working with you for the next few days, even the next few weeks, where you'll just find yourself having healthy boundaries and letting go of all those silly labels and boxes we put ourselves in. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me this week. Definitely sign up with Darius at You Wealth. He's really, really incredible. He's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that I know him and that he was able to come on the show today and share with you. Sending you guys lots of love, and I will see you next week. Bye.